Hey everyone, welcome to Grain Therapy, the woodworking podcast where we discuss our passions, methods, and personal growth as we build our woodworking businesses. This week we talked about the light and the dark side of our ambition, and we explore that along with the light and the dark side of the photo booth. We also get into our inner critics and ways to give ourselves more credit as well as compassion that's much needed in hard times, especially when you're pushing the limit of learning how to run a business. This podcast can be found anywhere you like to listen. If you find value in it, please leave us a comment or a review. In addition to following this podcast, find us at Bossman's Boutique and at Whiskey Woodshop to see our projects start to finish. So sit back and watch, listen while you work, or put us on in the background. Either way, we hope you enjoy.
Are you you're not drinking anything tonight? Am I alone?
I am. Made a mixed drink. I've got what was it? There's a cordials from Vicar up in Duluth that is like, I can't remember I don't even know what flavors are in. I think it's like pomegranate and peach or something. It's like and it's got like a little bit of gin in there. So I do Bacardi Limon, a little bit of that, a little bit of amaretto.
This is a party drink right now. Yeah.
And then sour. Yeah, I like foo drinks. I always have.
Yeah. That's basically a Cosmo right there, or at least it looks like one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rum. It's not a Cosmo, but hey, that looks sweet. I'm doing an old fashioned this time instead of straight.
Okay.
And it's a Minnesota whiskey, which I don't want to try to pronounce. It's got weird letters. It's like Bodalen.
Couldn't help you.
Far North Spirits, Minnesota whiskey. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's not my favorite one. Honestly, Minnesota isn't great at making them just because of the temperature.
Sure.
Here. It's not like Kentucky or Texas or whatever, but yeah.
It seems like we both we stepped a level up from the drinks we had last week. Yeah. So I think it's kind of funny. Maybe we're in a better mood this week. I'll monitor that over time.
Deal. Okay. Yeah. Maybe each week we have to get more complex in the drink we make.
Oh, that'd be a funny shtick. Yeah.
And then we're going to be spending hours on the drink before we even get to talking. So
it's just offshoot of a new podcast. Yeah.
So I distilled my own, and then no, I'm just kidding.
DIY.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So what'd you work on? I think it's been 2 weeks, huh? How have your past 2 weeks been?
Yeah, last 2 weeks have been pretty mixed. So the big good thing is so the base of the table that I'm working on is done. So the legs, the stretchers, there's a battery box underneath with some really diagonal mini like complex angles on these the stretchers that hold it up underneath. And then the actuators are working, made boxes that cover those up. And then so the base is done, but I've got the leaves to finish. And it's still quite a bit of work, a lot of putsy work. So I'm doing more really complex inlay. And then I just got to make like, in between each leaf, I do like a tenon and then stick in, like I make a tenon. So I make a mortise and then inlay a tenon. So that will seat into the adjacent leaf. And so that makes the inside spill proof. So if you spill on the top, nothing actually gets down into the vaulted area.
Are you going to do a test video for that? As soon as everything's finished, pour like something crazy on it?
I've thought about it. I think I don't want to do that.
No. You can do a slow-mo video and like clean it up right away.
Right away.
Just like tip over a glass and then somebody's there to clean that up.
I asked the clients of the last table if it ever happened that they please let me know what the results were. So
that's just called market warranty right there. Like you just wait to see what happens.
Yeah. And if something bad happens, then it's more work I got to do, but it's going to be worth the learning for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you? How's your last 2 weeks?
They were pretty good. I went on a trip out of town with my wife. She was on a work trip. She had a conference in DC, and we hadn't been there since kids or whatever. Like she went in 5th grade and I went senior year of high school. So it had been a while. So I tagged along Wednesday to Saturday. She had the conference. So she was in there about 5 hours a day. So I was just playing on Fusion working on just playing with coffee table concepts. I haven't gotten a coffee table built yet or commissioned yet. Haven't made one. Just trying to play with some different ideas, trying to work in new materials. The cabinet I was just finishing has glass, obviously, for those doors on the steam vent cabinet. And that's like the first time I've used a different material as a functional piece. I've got that mirror backing on the Manhattan cabinet, which is another liquor cabinet. And that one is so simple. It was just like I cut the acrylic and dropped it into place in the slots I have. So doing the glass, like going through a third party, I built the doors, I had to drop the doors off, have the glass cut and installed. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I had them install it because I didn't want to mess with it. It was 1/8-inch glass. And I was, if they cut it and it's off, they'll notice it when they're installing it and it'll be on them. But like I had a worry where like I bring it home and then I can't get it in. And then I have to go back to them and be like, hey, and they're gonna be like, what? Just the confusion there. And also time. Like I was just like, you guys are professionals. You're gonna do this way better than me.
That's a good choice. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you mind if I ask who did it? Just because in case I ever try it out.
I would 100% recommend them. I got them off of a suggestion by a contractor I know. They're called River City Glass.
River City Glass.
So they're down in Savage or Shakopee, depending on where the line is. I don't quite remember. Down south of the cities a little bit. So it'd probably be about a 45-minute drive from your area. But I think it'd be worth it because I dropped off the doors and got them back within a week and a half. They were done early. I just couldn't pick them up because I was on that vacation. So, but yeah, it turned out great. They install them. They use silicone and just set them into place. So there's like a silicone edge away around the whole perimeter. And I don't think there'll be any issues with that in the future. I already had Rubio on it, and I think silicone is probably going to be fine. It'll bind to that. So
yeah, it should.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns there. And then the last thing I added there on the doors for the install, I had the whole cabinet done. Everything has finished. All the drawers are installed. I got the back panels installed, and then I added a magnetic hold for the doors so each door has a magnet on the top and bottom. And in reality, so it's just a magnet that you like drill a hole for, and I just CA glued it in place. It's made like it's an actual cabinet hold. And then it's just a washer. It's just a steel washer that you screw it apart. And that really changes the feel of the cabinet. And they're not hard magnets, but like when you shut the door and it pops into its proper place, there's this satisfaction that rushes over you, kind of like a soft close drawer. They're not soft close hinges because they're just front face mounted brass hinges. But that magnet kind of solves everything, and it kind of keeps it all cleaner. And because before the doors they'd sit in their normal straight area or their position, but like in reality, if you didn't fully shut it, it might stay slightly open. But an actual reference. So
yeah, I think that's great. And like it's cool that you're thinking about too, like what it feels like what the user experience is when they're using your product, and that's next level stuff. That's fun.
Well, that's the whole thing. If you don't like how it feels, you don't like it. It can be as pretty as it wants to be, right? But it's not just a piece on the wall, right? That's what you're doing with the electronics.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it depends on your customer too, right? But it seems like, but that's what you enjoy making, so it's cool that you're doing it too. But yeah, same thing with the electronics and the table with the actuators. It's just like it's just a wow factor of like, yeah, when you click that button, that's gonna be some endorphins going off.
It's satisfying, satisfying. Even the Instagram when it doesn't have any finish on it. There's like imagine the people having a big board game out on it that they've been playing for I don't know how long they last, a long time. And then they can do that with that. Like that's so cool. So yeah definitely the feel of it.
So you're done now with the cabinet.
Yeah, it's in my house. I'm waiting to deliver it. I'm trying to get the best pictures I can, but glass makes it hard to take pictures because of reflections. Which is the same thing I figured out on the Manhattan cabinet with the mirror back. Like,
Have you seen, are you a
yeah.
Reddit person, a Reddit guy?
I'm not. I should be. Like, I'm
Okay.
the kind of guy who would dive down those rabbit holes, but I haven't.
I just ask because there's like a whole Reddit, I can't think of the name of it, but it's dedicated to pictures that people took from like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist that people didn't realize there was a reflection.
Oh gosh, like the cringy ones.
You can
Yeah.
imagine some funny stuff going on, but
I'm in my underwear trying to take pictures of my cabinet, and then I post it for everybody to see. Not quite.
Just buck naked taking pictures.
Yeah, it's just a different challenge, and we've talked about that rush you get when you're finishing the project, how you want to, like, or at least me, like, I want to get it done. And the finishing part's my least favorite. Once I get every piece cut and assembled, to me, it's finished. And I think this is the best I've done at slowing down through the finish. But what I hadn't planned on is the fact that I still need to take my time and get the proper marketing materials, like the videos and pictures of it.
Yeah.
And I want to deliver this to the client because I love it so much. Like, it's the best thing I built. And yeah, it either needs to stay in my house or get out soon because I like the look of it. And my wife does too. So that it's painful. I got to say goodbye to this thing.
You got to make another one.
Yeah,
what I'm hearing.
If I make another one, it's going to be different.
Sure.
Just with the processes, like the steam bend went fine as a one-off. And, we've talked about I'll need to build a new steam box or something. And
a more reliable.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So so I'm just thinking of the last one I finished was my other gaming table. That was a big project, and I had it in my house for, I think, like a week. And so I had some friends over, and we played a small game on it too, just to like get some feedback about like, hey, these are my friends who are close enough to me that they'll give me harsh feedback if asked. And so it was just like, play a game, see how it goes. Like, what can I do better next time? But even like with a whole week of taking pictures and stuff and like videos and like sweeping shots, like, I only got 25% of what I wish I had. And so that whole phase is like, that's a serious phase. I'm starting to like, I didn't hire, I had a friend take pictures who dabbles in photography last time. She does an amazing job. I want to hire her. I would like to pay her because I'd like a little more of her time and effort towards it. But yeah, that's a thing that like in the beginning of my woodworking career, I was like, oh, I'm going to get really into photography and like figure this out and like take really good pictures. And like very quickly it has overwhelmed me. And it's one of those things where I'm just like, let's hire that out so I can focus on the stuff I'm good at.
Right.
But it is interesting. And you were saying right before we got on here, you used to dabble in photography. Tell me a bit about that.
I was obsessed. So I went to school out in the Black Hills in Rapid City. Well, it's not in the Black Hills. It's right there though, right by Mount Rushmore. So every weekend for like 2 years, I was out in the hills taking pictures. And then I got into astrophotography. So I was doing long exposures of the Milky Way, but then also I got like a star tracker. So it moves your camera at the same rate as the
Earth's rotating.
You just reference it on Polaris. So I got a star tracker. So I was taking deep sky, long exposures of the Orion Nebula, Andromeda, like Pleiades, like everything. So I was into night sky photography. I was into landscapes, but all of that has the light figured out for me. And what I'm not good at is lighting a product. Like I need some lights and I need some time to just figure this out. And I don't know, my camera's not doing me great anymore. It's a camera from 2008 or something. So it's getting a little slow and the autofocus doesn't work. That's fine because I normally manual focus anyway. But like, it's just the combination of things that makes me not want to even do it. And then I'm just taking pictures on my phone. And that camera's not set up for video. Like, and I think video is the entire world right now. So I think if I'm only doing pictures, I'm taking, like you said, kind of 25% of what you could or should. So, and only my wife and her mom have seen it so far. And the reactions I've gotten from this build are way better than anything I built. Like even my last cabinet that I designed from scratch and I feel really good about. This one that somebody else picked the design, and I built for them. They love this thing. So I'm like that feedback is like, if I can get the right content and share it, that's going to be, it seems more fruitful that I'd get more word of mouth or shares on something like that to get maybe somebody else to get something like this.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, you got me thinking, like, there's no doubt that, better, like, taking more time to get the right pictures, get the right videos is like, is worth the effort. But yeah, it's kind of, for me, I'm trying to, it sounds like you're in a different place where you kind of want to figure out how to do more of that, which is
I'd like to do half of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's great. And and I'm at a point where I'm trying to discern, is this worth my time or is it worth somebody else's time? Because like I'm interested too in like what's the science or like the knowledge of getting good lighting for certain types of projects. Like that's just a topic that I'm like, wow, if I could spend some time there, I think I'd learn it and be really good at it.
Right.
But what's that taking away from the time that I have and I'm able to do? And it's a hard choice sometimes. But yeah, it was also like the other thing I was thinking while you're saying that is you were, I might be putting words in your mouth. I'll try not to, but you're saying like you're hoping to get again the right shots and everything, and like you're not where you want to be to get it perfect. And so that sounds like there's a inner critic in you that's kind of like, is it based on perfectionism or is it based on this is the way things do well, or is it like, is there an internal or is it external, or like what causes you to say it's like I can't do it, if like it makes me not want to do it? That was what you said. It makes me not want to do it because of the situation. Is it an external reason, an internal reason, a mix?
I think it's internal, but it's just like a response to the results I'm getting. So like I have a half-assed lighting. Like I'm using a lamp similar to this one. We're gonna have a prop similar to this, pointed up toward the sky, right? To try to get some general light in the room. I got it near a window. I'm trying to get natural light in, but it's somewhat cloudy today. But I need to deliver this thing soon, so I need pictures today. But so it's just like you're dealing with time and then all the different variables. My camera's not quite what I want it to be. I'm not lighting it properly. It's the reflections of the glass. So it's all these things, and I see the result, and it's a trash picture that I could maybe do some stuff to edit, touch up a little bit. But like compared to what I used to be able to do with landscapes and stuff, and it was just way more approachable. Like, I haven't learned product photography yet. So I'm looking at hiring a videographer that I worked with in the past, and they're likely going to do a 30-second B-roll type video, just silky shots of the good angles of the cabinet for this one, and then the Manhattan cabinet that I built back in April, March, because I've still got that. So if I could get those two videos for a decent price, that'd make me feel good. But then I'm also wondering, what if it doesn't work out? Like, what if they have a bunch of reflections, or what if they don't light it properly? What if they're in a hurry because they know this is a short job? It's 30-second video,
Sure. Yeah. Well, do they know that there's like the reflection issue? Like, are they prepared for that obstacle? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they know. It's just, and then what I've been talking about too with some friends is that $500. Can I take that $500 and put it to something that will make me be able to take some of this load in the future? So do I get some lights where I can like position these lights and make the proper photo booth that now I can take care of it from now on. I'm good. I don't have to hire this out every time. So it's like this investment versus just call it and move on to the next project. So I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, no, that's a good place to be. It doesn't always feel good. but it is a good place to be of like, hey, like you got to give yourself credit. Like I have the ability to make this choice, and I can either choose to, fill in a gap on what I'm considering my weaknesses, or I can spend more time on my strengths and keep getting good at those while I hire somebody else to work on what my weakness is. I think that's more of a like long-term business strategy if you're trying to like scale up and do things. But it all depends on where you're at and what you want to learn and what's going to keep it fun for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to make that choice, and there's a lot of power there.
The thing's also impossible to move on my own, and like I've got this black sheet, big black like vinyl, or not vinyl, whatever it is, polyester sheet down in the basement, but I can't get it down there. So it's like, and from what I've seen, people aren't purchasing, or they aren't wowed by a picture with a black background, which I thought differently before, because I've seen a lot of people do it. I like, first thing that comes to my mind is Cam, Blacktail Studios on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
He shoots a ton of these with the black canvas background or whatever, and then he long exposes, and he lights it how he wants to. I can do that, like, because then I'm handling the exposure. Now I'm in manual mode on my camera, and I can work my way around that a little better.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I can paint the light how I want it to.
Yeah.
Turning on different lights by having the exposure on for 20 seconds in a pitch black basement. So, but then there's no scale in that.
Right.
People don't see the gravity of the piece. So it's just the beauty of the wood. And I think that's why Cam can get away with it, because all you see on his is a slab with a metal base or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's only about the beauty of the wood, and you can figure out the proportions based on the 3 dimensions he can list in the ad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can't show dimensions without like a plate or some kind of thing showing you, oh, okay.
That's good insight. Like that. Yeah. I think you're exactly right too. Like there's you got to play around with different backgrounds, but I've been finding too, and with my furniture that I make, it almost never makes sense just taking a picture by itself. Like there's, you don't get that sense of, like this is a big table. Like I've got pictures up at when I do shows, I've got pictures of the bigger projects that I've done, and people are like, oh, is that like a coffee table? I'm like, no, that's a dining table.
It's huge.
That's a table. Yeah. So that's interesting. But yeah. So you slow down, you're getting some pictures, and you're figuring it out. So that's good.
Yeah, but I'm just going to end up delivering it and then not getting the pictures I need anyway, and then being mad about it in 6 months from now.
And it's all about the timeline.
Yep. Because I feel bad. I stretched it a week already, and I'm pretty hard. Like I gave myself a 6 to 10 week window. I thought I could do it in 8. I did it in 11, partially due to other things I was working on, personal projects too, to try to conserve some time when the weather was good.
Sure.
This client is a relative, so it's a little easier to swing. If it was a straight up client that I won out of thin air or email or something, that thing would have been delivered way earlier, and I would have put it. But
and you got a straight line face when you say that, which makes me just you got some critic going on in there inside.
I wish it was faster, and I wish I had infinite time too, but it's I haven't been in the office as much recently because of this vacation, so then it let me work on other stuff. And
I feel compelled to tell some stories about my terribly loud inner critic, but what I want to ask first is, when you're feeling that way, how do you have strategies to like cope with that, or like distract yourself from it, or like get past, I'm being really mean to myself internally, or I don't even know if it's a real problem. For me, it's a real problem. I can be really mean to myself.
How do you mean, like mean to yourself?
So like, you're saying, oh, I'm not going to get the pictures I want. And like, it's, I wish I could just be at the place where I'm taking really good pictures.
Sure.
And like, you also said, I tried really hard to slow down on the finishing process. And like, so there's things you're making improvements about, but it also implies that you have like a goal, like, and you're not where you wish you were, right? And so whenever I feel myself, like, on the one hand, I give myself credit, like, I'm learning this. But on the other hand, it's like, I know I could do this.
Yeah.
But right now I can't. But I know that I have the ability to. I just haven't learned what I need to learn yet. And so then that's like part of what pushes me to be better at things. But it also can make me depressed if I don't control it or like give myself compassion. And it can get out of hand really quickly for me.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm that mean to myself. Like you were saying, when your inner critic is being overly mean. I think you said something like that. That wasn't the exact words you used. But when you're sometimes you can be brutal with yourself, right? I don't think I'm that, like, I think I could say my inner dialogue to other people. Like I'm relatively nice to myself.
Okay. Yeah.
In like you gave it a good shot, kind of like, it's like about the effort more than the result. Cause like I mess stuff up all the time, right? Like we're people. And so like I'm very good at like understanding that I'm going to mess stuff up a lot, but then it's the waste that gets to me, like wastes of time, or cause I'm trying to optimize everything. Cause I feel so stretched with like I'm trying to do my woodworking business. And I would rather that be my full-time business, but it's not even close, right? So then I still got my real job, real job, real job. But it is the only real job because it's paying bills, right? But it's for me, I am mean to myself in the way that I overstress and overload myself to make up for anything that I do.
Okay.
So instead of like being, oh, I'm so dumb, I messed that up, I'm like, we got to fix that tonight. So then I'm like, I overload, and then I can't make the cut for the timing that I want.
Sure.
And then it feels like I'm going either backwards or I'm staying the same. So it's more about like I punish myself with workload.
Okay. So I think I have that in common with you.
Yeah.
I punish myself with workload, but I'm trying to think. Yeah, so we're very different internally, which is to be expected.
We're people. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We're human. And I was trying to see if there's like a specific like thing that you do that I could attach to and be like, I'm gonna try that. And I think what you gave me was, it might take a second for me to articulate my thought here. Was you give yourself credit for the effort, and it's more about the effort. And like I had a thought when you said that. I was like, oh yeah, like there are times where I tell myself that, oh yeah, I tried my best, but it wasn't good enough.
Oh yeah.
Like my brain immediately goes to that place, and then I sit there and just like can't get out of like the thought in my head came, I didn't do what I wanted to do, and that's because I'm not good enough right now. And then I can't get to the next thought. I just stew and can't like detach from that thought. And so I guess the story of the last 2 weeks is I said I made progress on my table, but that was good. The bad part of that is, as I get to wrapping up bigger projects like this, I really like to force myself to express all of the emotions, all of the growth, all of the, whatever, the good and the bad of that segment of my life. And like for this one, this is like a year-long project. So there's a lot that goes into it. And I've been struggling to like come up with a way to express it because I've just been so critical this last year. Because there's like, it was a lot of new stuff. I overwhelmed myself with the workload in that regard, where I was just like, here's a project that I'm going to do 30 things that I've never done before. And we'll see how it goes. Like,
love it.
We just hit the cap on the dream project, right?
Yep.
And I've gotten everything done. It's basically, it's going to match the CAD model that I made in the beginning. And like, I'm super pumped about that. But when if I'm being super honest with myself, which is hard, and I can feel my voice cracking right now, and I say, yeah, I did my best, I don't like give myself real kudos for that. Like, I know I
Do you always
should.
give your best?
What's that?
Is it because you always give your best?
I think it is because I always give my best, but I
So
don't
then
give myself credit for that.
in your brain, you're like, it's nothing new. I always give my best, and it wasn't
That's
good
the
enough.
bare minimum.
Yeah. No, but that's the
Well,
best.
that's my mind saying that.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm here to tell you, you're doing great because that's your maximum. So
Sure.
do you identify as an ambitious person?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you're ever thinking, I did my best, but it wasn't good enough, that's because you're that ambitious. So as soon as you internalize the fact that I'm being ambitious and I think I'm as good as this, but you got to be okay with the fact that you're not there yet and you're never going to get there because you are so ambitious, you're going to always raise the bar for yourself. So as soon as you think you made it, I think you failed because now you're not being ambitious. As soon as you think you know everything you need to know, I think you're done. So I don't think you're ever going to you're a learner, and I think I strive to be a learner, right?
Yeah.
So if you're ever like, sweet, I did everything, it was better than I thought it could have been, I didn't even have to work as hard as I did, and it was all like way better. It's not realistic, right? You're so ambitious that you're gonna set the next goal before you hit that one, right? And that's okay, because like think about yourself 2 years ago and then look at what you just did. That guy is stoked and he's like, wow, Brian killed it. But right now, since you've already leveled up, it doesn't feel like that yet.
Sure. Yeah. So I hear you loud and clear, and like you're 100% right. And I'm still having trouble. Like if I look at past Brian, 2 years ago Brian, and say, hey, like present day Brian, he's doing a fucking good job. Like that in my brain, that doesn't feel like that's me. And so like we're not connected. Like past Brian to present Brian isn't connected in a way that I can give myself compassion. And I don't know what that's about, but that's what it feels like right now in my body. It's just like any like that's just you telling yourself something so you feel better, right? And that's a lie.
Okay.
That's the thing that's in my head, but that's a lie.
Another level. There's another level in there. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. But
thank you. And I do want to say thank you. Like already, like I felt some weight go away from you saying the thing you said.
But do you agree that your ambition is never going to allow you to feel like you've made it? And as soon as it does, you're probably petering off your drive.
I think the problem is that I'm trying to identify who I am with that future version.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm not identifying like my worth, my value for what I'm doing now. I'm comparing it to the future constantly. And so yeah.
Because you've said I'm not there yet multiple times. But you're always going to change that destination of where you want to get because you'll achieve it and then you'll go, but I can do more. I can go higher. I can try this. I can learn that.
Right. And so I need to detach my self-worth from that and say, hey, no, that's a super good thing about myself for these other reasons, but I shouldn't be necessarily deriving how I feel today from that.
Or opposite, attach all of your self-worth to it. As long as you're aware that, as long as you're attaching your self-worth to the fact that you're doing this cycle of self-improvement rather than the status that you're in at the very moment. If your value and what you find valuable about your character and what you want to share with people, is the fact that you are doing the best that you can and you're about to do better on this next one. Like, watch what I do next. Like, if that's what if that's what the thing is, if that's the picture, I think you'll be happy there compared to the beginning of the project. There's so much potential, but then by the time you end it, you made what you planned in the beginning, but through doing it, you realize that you could have done more or you could have done it better. But at the beginning, you had no idea, right? You hadn't done those 5 things, 10 things in this project. So now that you learned it, you're like, but I could do more. So as long as you if you cling to that part, it's all roses. Like, that's awesome. Like, you're being a learner, you're being ambitious, and it's all gas, no brakes. Like, it's just send it and see what happens. And then at least that's what I do.
I hear you. And it's good. And I think the difference, I think there's a slight difference between us. I think there's something happening for you that, like, you actually receive the credit for yourself of, like, hey, I did this and that's good. Like, and now let's go to the next one, where I'm just like, yeah, but the next one's going to be better. So, like, don't even look at this one.
Oh,
And,
okay.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't judge me on this because I'm still going here. And I wonder what, so I've got a whole new place to explore thanks to this conversation. And we'll see if I follow up on it next time. But I think, I'm learning about myself as we speak. So that's
cool,
good.
though. Yeah. I think it's all steps, right? And I couldn't have built this cabinet that I built this last week. Well, months, but finished this last week without the cabinet that I built in February or March. And I couldn't have built that one without my first cabinets, or, it's all these steps, right? And and so that's what makes me grateful in that moment, because I can see that cabinet down there and this is the best one I built and I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, there are issues. I don't want to talk about them, but right. Yeah. But it's okay if somebody judges me on that, because in a minute I'm going to have something that's better than that. And that's exciting to me, is because I look at that and I can't even, how did I build that? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's the grateful part for me.
The gratitude and allowing the excitement.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm not allowing the excitement. I think that's probably fundamental with a lot of my past. So that's where I'm going to explore. Well, cool. Yeah, because basically during this project I'm just like, oh yeah, like the inlay could have been better. I should go spend time and redo that part of it. And it's like, I've already redone enough things where I'm way over budget on the project, and then it's like, okay, well, no, I didn't quote it enough, and it's easier to just not have the conversation and like do it the way that I want to.
Yep.
And so the critic's been loud, and it's been. Thank you for that help, because now I think I'll be able to really move a little bit faster on the rest of this project.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not deep in your project, so I don't know a lot of the details, but I know that you're killing it, and it's not the end. It's not the last thing that you're building. So if you think of it maybe like a step, and then it'll just get you excited for whatever you're going to do next. Because I don't know how I got where I got, and that just makes me excited to see what happens. I know I'm far from stuff. Like, I'm far from going full time, but like, if I keep doing stuff like this properly and I go through the right channels, it feels like it could be more of a reality.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I see everything. I see it all there too for you. Like, you're well on the path, and I'm excited. I can't wait to see your finished pictures of this cabinet, like your
the really good pictures that I don't have. Yeah,
I can't wait to see those.
I got to figure out how to get them. Yeah, that's good though. That's interesting to hear your inner dialogue a little bit, because I have certain parts of that, but I don't have other parts of it, right? And there
Yeah,
are
right.
problems that I think that don't come to your mind either about.
Yeah, it's been like, I think one of the things I thought before today having this conversation was an exercise to help me like give myself credit, which is kind of like counterintuitive. Um, is like, so maybe we've talked about it before, but like when people comment on my projects and stuff and like, oh, that's great, that's nice, that's so cool, like it's hard for me to even like be like, oh yeah, like they think that's really cool and like they mean it. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's more of just like they're interacting on social media and being like, oh, thumbs up. Like it's hard for me to like feel it like, oh, I'm getting praise. Like I don't accept the praise. Like I know it's a me problem. And so
Do you
one of
think
the
you just don't think it's genuine?
no, I think it is genuine, but
Okay.
for it just doesn't like it's because I'm not allowing it. Like it's
Yeah.
because of what I said where I'm like, oh, don't judge me on that. I'm looking to the future, but I'm not taking the time to be like, oh, people like my stuff and like that should make me feel good.
Yeah.
But it's just like for me, usually I dismiss it and I'm like, oh, that's just the bare minimum. Like
Mm,
they're just being nice.
yeah.
And so that like that's a me problem. But one of the exercises that I thought, and like you can let me know if you think this is a good idea from what you've heard about me saying, because again,
Sure.
I'm criticizing what I'm saying right now, but that's a whole different story.
You
Of
haven't even
like,
said it
I know
yet. Let it out.
I was gonna go through the past, like all my posts and comments, and like write down the ones that like felt the most good to read, and like write them down in a journal by hand, and like practice accepting that compliment like for real, and
Okay.
then just like see if like it is external, but because I'm having such a hard time internally, I'm hoping that like almost like meditating on some of those things will help me give myself more credit and just be like, and then even like share that exercise like on social media, like, hey, this is what I did. Because this is what I'm going through, and I like that's one of the things I've been wanting to do more on social media is like there's a way darker side to what's going on in my business that I want to share because it's important for people to know, but I struggle to share it.
You're sharing it really well right now, honestly.
Yeah,
So I
appreciate
mean,
it.
this could be an outlet too. It doesn't just have to be, Instagram or
Yeah,
anything, right? So
yeah. But
it's part of it.
that's where most of the people who follow me are, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I want them to know too. But yeah, we'll point them here too.
Someday they'll see this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
I might go a weird way with this.
Let's do it.
Is it bad? Does it have to be a weakness that it's tough to take in compliments, or can it be a strength to where you are not satisfied with yourself? I think it can be a weakness. I don't know all the situations that you're putting
Yeah,
yourself in where you're maybe you're going backwards, or maybe it is so negative that it is regressive. But if we, if there's a spin that you could put on this, it's like, hey, I'm not great at accepting compliments because I know I'm going to be doing better in a minute. So I don't want you to judge me on this. I want you to judge me on what I do next. I can empathize with that a little bit. I've worked on projects with, like, I was remodeling a relative's house, and every time I'd finish, it was okay. So I was renovating my mom's bathroom.
mm-hmm.
I was hesitant to say this because she'll listen to it, but she'll understand because this is reality of what happened. Okay. And she felt bad that I was spending all this time on her house, and I've got all these other ambitions that I want to do. And I was spending a ton of time on her house. She kept saying thank you a ton of times, and she likes it, and thank you. But it was all throughout the process, and it's like, hey, I'm not done yet. Like, I'm not done yet. I just kept being like, yep, I'm not done yet. Still, like, tell me later. Like, because I couldn't internalize the fact that she was grateful for it, because I needed it to just be complete because I was trying to get moving on to other things.
Yeah.
It's slightly different. It's not as much on the compliment base, but I couldn't accept the gratitude yet because I was still on the hook for 200 hours of remodeling and stuff. So,
Sure. So
but then I tried to turn that into positive to where it's like, I just want to give her what she wants. And that's where I'm focusing versus I'm rejecting something that I should be taking in. So I tried to view it differently.
yeah, I mean, so I totally hear what you're saying. Like, yeah, I'm going to sum it up in a different way and tell you what I heard when you said what you just said.
Yep.
I heard that you weren't yet in a place to receive the compliment.
Yep.
But once you got to that place, you were able to receive it. Like once you were done, like you completed the project, you were like, oh yeah, you're welcome, Mom. And yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's interesting. I think for me, that space of being able to accept that thing is like really thin, and I need to work on widening out that space.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so I heard what you said in a very different way.
Yeah.
But I think it's because that's how I think I'll need to apply it. But yeah, that's a good insight too. But your original question is good. Can that actually be a good thing, not a bad thing? And I think you're right. Like it could be a very good thing.
Yeah.
I identify as like a stereotypical artist in a lot of ways, where it's just like, I've got this thing in my head and I need to get it out in the world the way that I see it.
I love it.
And so like, I need to better connect to feeling pride in that instead of, are other people going to like it too? And then try to bring it down to like what people understand. Like it's almost like I spend a little bit of time, and I could be under exaggerating. I spend a little bit of time taking the idea, the visualization that I have in my head, and then translating it into a way that's good for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I need to spend less time doing that. But it's because I care. And I think I care too much about what other people think compared to what I think. Because I need to get, I think it's still centered around compassion for myself.
Sure.
And not having quite enough of that yet. But it's a thing that I've made leaps and bounds. And it's super ironic and meta, not quite there yet again, but I need to accept that too. So
it's each step, right? So we're never going to get there because we're ambitious people that are trying to do the next thing all the time.
That's right.
So
that's right.
As soon as you're content with that part, you can get a little, hey, that was a nice step. Like that was fun. Like this was if you do it like a chapter in a book or something, because bad stuff's going to happen. It's life, right? Like, so we're going to get hit by a truck at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone we love will, right? And then it's going to suck at some chapters, but hey, and each project has its own little set of steps too. Like we talked the last couple of times about the rise and fall that I have of the project, or it's more like an inverse. Like I start high, I go low in the middle of the project, and I end high. But it's just, we just are obsessed with making stuff based on some type of urge inside us, which I heard you just voice there. And I think that's the root of it all. And when it doesn't come out how you think it should, that's where you have that dissatisfaction, but you're just figuring out how to make that physical object based on the ideas in your brain. So.
Right. Yeah. So that made me think of a new question. So just to lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah. Move on.
When you think about the steps that you're taking, how intentional are you about the steps, and like, do you focus on the size of the steps?
Like the chunks of a project?
Or like, all right, this next one, I'm making a really big leap in my skills, or like, or is there like a desire to do it that way? Or is it like, do you have a good balance of like baby steps compared to major steps? So I don't balance it, and I think that's part of my problem. I'm always trying to take major steps and not taking
Yeah.
baby steps.
Yeah.
So what you do.
I think I haven't thought about it in enough detail.
Mm.
I've taken on something new each project, but probably not more than 3-4 things per project.
Yeah. Okay.
To where, when I'm quoting it, I go, okay, these are things I know how to do. That's probably this much time. And if it takes longer, that's my own fault, whatever. And then there's this mystery steam bend at the top of this cabinet. It's a huge, how are you even going to cut the strips? I don't know yet. How are you even going to? So I don't know a lot of these things that I'm quoting them. So I think it's actually at like the evaluation of the project part of it where I decide, okay, even if I mess this up, it's worth learning. Like even if I make no money on that portion of it, but this other stuff, I know this is the rate and I can do it in that time. And if I don't, that's just me being stupid. So let's run it and then see what happens with this mystery section. And then if there's a panic moment, I'll have to just, eat my foot and go back to the client and say, I can't do this. Here's your deposit back, or here, can we make a design change?
Sure.
So,
okay. So yeah, so from what you said, it seems like it's more baby steps. Well, at least you're like dividing up the project and saying, here's the part that's a mystery, the rest isn't.
Yeah.
Where I like distinctly remember quoting this table, and like there was a desired budget in mind and the portfolio piece factor, but I distinctly remember like, here's all this stuff, and if it doesn't go well, I'm not going to make money on the whole project. It's not about I'm not going to make money on that part of the project. Yeah. And I think it's either, so now I'm going to do an either or. It's either because I'm not separating the project up enough, or that I can't look at it that way, and I should try to start looking at it that way.
I think the reason I look at it as everything I know how to do and everything I don't know how to do is fear, because like I sign up for something and I know I can figure out most stuff. And then if not, we got to go back and make adjustments. Tail behind the legs. I'm sorry. Bit off more than I can chew. Honestly, haven't had too many of those situations yet. And I hope I don't run into too many, because that'd be embarrassing. But it's the fear of that section of the project that I don't know how to do that I ride on. And then as soon as I start that part, then I'm in this limbo in the project where I'm still figuring it out. And then I finally, once I get over that crest, it's like free, like, okay, I know how to do the rest of everything that I'm doing in this project. Then it's just work, and that's cool, like fun. So, it's just fear. But it sounds like since there were so many things in your project that you signed up for that you hadn't done before, there was just a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Even in smaller sections, like with a linear actuator box, like that, you haven't done that before, but it's just a box, right? But you're still not sure exactly how you're going to do it yet. So I think it's all about planning, just to be more at ease, to have a plan.
Yeah, and that's another change that I'm making in the future is like I'm gonna like design the heck out of it before I get to building. So it's more of like, here's the print, just make the part to the print and move on. That doesn't always work, but I understand where that doesn't work. But I just haven't taken that step to feel good. But the other thing I was thinking when you're saying that, where you're like, I'm doing the project and then I get to a lull of that thing that I don't understand. For me, it felt like I'm doing the part that I understand. There's going to be a lull, and then there's going to be another lull and another lull. But I'm feeling the pressure of all three during the first one.
Okay. Yeah.
So
it's this whole pile. You're already struggling, especially if you struggle earlier than you thought you would.
Yeah.
Now you caught by surprise, and you're like, shit, I got 5 other steps I don't even know how to do yet. How is this one going to affect all those other ones?
Yeah. And so that made me really think and like appreciate this table could have been a lot worse for me, but because I did plan out the order of operations really well. I did plan out each print for each part. but I planned the operation, like the order of operations so well that it could have been a lot worse. So I'm finding new gratitude for myself right
There you
now
go.
in what you just said. So thank you.
Gratitude is like, I think that one's the key, because I think you can be happy in any moment, but even if you're sad, if you're grateful for anything, like there's still a root of happiness somewhere. So like just being
Absolutely.
like happy that you even got a chance to make this thing in,
Yeah.
your shop. Like I was in, I was kind of mentioned I was in DC, and we were driving around. I didn't see like a single pickup truck. And I'm like looking at all these places. I'm like, nobody can build anything in their garage. I think about the people over in like the UK or something that don't have a yard to mow.
Mhm.
Like I mowed my lawn today. I don't know. Like I need space. Like that's just my own personality. It kind of gets into my own stuff. But like, what if you had this burning inside you and how are you going to do it? You'd have to go to a shared shop space or something. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of things to be grateful for. And yeah, it's just, it's embarrassingly easy to lose sight of it sometimes.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Cause it's easy to, yeah. My beating myself up is when I can't keep to my schedule. I can't get done what I want to get done. And then I
Mhm.
pile more on to get more done. But then I keep not being able to get that done. So
Yeah, that's a hard hole to dig out of.
yeah. I'll tell a quick story. I did this bathroom down in our basement last year in October. So my wife had some friends who wanted to go to their homecoming at college. She went to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So her and her friends went that weekend, and it was planned like 3 weeks ahead of time or something. And we had everything purchased for the bathroom remodel. The plan was, so it's a half bath, so it's just a toilet and a sink. And so the plan was a concrete countertop, custom vanity. We had the sink and faucet already. Toilet was just replaced, and we had some luxury vinyl plank that we got at an outlet, and it looked like it would be enough, right? So it's like this floor, and then we talked about board and batten walls, painted the specific color. I already had the paint, so we had talked about the design, and the reason I say that is because she's very particular about interior design because she's got a good eye for that. So I had all the design approved, and she was going away for the weekend. So I was like, I'm going to do this whole bathroom this weekend. So she left on a Friday at like 4:30 and was coming home Sunday midday. Not sure what time. Then I had a friend invite me to the Vikings game with him. So I needed to leave my house by Sunday at 10-ish.
Yeah.
So I have from 4 o'clock Friday to Sunday at 10. So I'm at work, working diligently on work things, making an Excel sheet, and I planned everything down to 15-minute increments. So I was like, okay, if I can get to the store, get all the materials, and then I get home, and then I have like an hour and 15 minutes to do this, and this. So I planned out this whole bathroom remodel in that time, and I went home. I made a concrete countertop mold out of like melamine, and then I poured it like all that night. I've never poured concrete countertop in my life, but I did that first because if it didn't go well, I was going to abandon ship on the whole project. If the concrete if it completely blew up. So anyway, I planned everything down to 15 minutes, including eating. I was like, okay, so I eat within this 15-minute window from 7:35 to I literally had that in there. And I was moving so fast. And so I left work early, like 2 hours early without telling her, got the materials that I needed. And I sat in the Home Depot parking lot, and she shares her location with me. So I just watched until her thing left our house. And then as soon as it left our house, I beelined it home, and then I started on this, right? And so I work until about 1 a.m. that night, and my brother-in-law comes over because I had to pour level floor because the floor was way thicker than I thought. So I had to tape, and then so I had him pick up level floor, and we were throwing this level floor, and then we went to bed, and then I woke up at 6 in the morning, kept going all day long Saturday till about 2 a.m. and I'm not even kidding. I was just not stopping. I got like 30,000 steps. It was like stupid what I was doing. And I had to install the board and batten, then I had to tape up the room, and then I was spraying this board and batten in our bathroom, and I like laid the floor, almost ran out of material. It's all combined into this monster project. Finished it up Sunday morning, went to the Vikings game. She came home. It was a surprise. She loved it. Yay. Okay. So that's the whole story. Needlessly long, but I want to tell you the pain. Like, I want that to come across, that it was so stupid, but it was cool, right? Like, I was excited the whole time.
Yeah.
And what I remember is my brother-in-law, when he was helping me fix the plumbing, because there was one of the things came loose. It's the whole thing. It added like an hour, whatever. My schedule got broken.
Yeah.
I think he said something like, I think you fucked up. He said something like that, because he's basically saying this is a mistake, because now you're going to want to do this or think you can do this more often or whatever. And he was so right. Before I used to have realistic expectations of myself. Like, I took 6 months to make our built-in downstairs because I was doing everything really good and like all the paint, all the like every little detail. But then after this bathroom, I'm like broken on what I can actually get done in a day. So I'm like, I got 4 hours in the shop. I can make a freaking sailboat in 4 hours. Like, I don't have realistic expectations for myself because I was able to deliver once. And that's circling back to what we were just talking about. And that's
a real thing. Yep. Absolutely. I hear it. There's like, cause I get caught up in that too. Like with, so I'll batch out like coasters, right? And like a bunch of cutting boards. And like when I have to do like a really meticulous pattern that I need to do, I mean, there's one pattern I did like 37 glue ups just to get like, an array of colors like across this thing. And like when you batch, you can get a lot of stuff done. And so you're like, oh, I did 18 or 20 of these cutting boards in a week. I can do a cabinet in a week. That's no problem. And it's like that. It's just not how it goes at all. So I hear you.
It's just painful though, accepting the fact that you were wrong. So now I'm trying to intentionally like put less pieces on the plate, and then I'll do them better, and then I save time overall too.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is insanity.
That's making sure that I set up work for myself that I can reinforce that idea is something I need to take more time to do and reinforce that idea. Cause that's the truth, is like slow down to speed up. I mean, that's a cliche saying, but that's super real.
Yeah. So it's all learning though. I mean, I just need to get adjusted to it. And that's kind of why I've always been on these last 3 podcasts, just been talking a lot about just slowing down, doing it right. And I've had better results. So
yeah. How's your outdoor kitchen coming?
Why do we got to talk about? No, I'm just kidding.
Pretty good. I was just curious if you set realistic expectations for yourself there too.
No, I didn't. The outdoor kitchen is actually where I realized this thing about the bathroom tipping off my unrealistic expectations was the outdoor kitchen project. Yeah. And because like I knew that it was a little ridiculous back then, but I reserved 2 weekends like in our scheduling for like the summer and our whole lives. What are we doing this weekend? Oh, it's a wedding. It's a whatever. So I put 2 on there for the outdoor kitchen. 2 weekends to do this whole outdoor kitchen is stupid. I poured 16 concrete countertops for this thing. No, 13 now.
Dang. Wow.
13 different surfaces.
Yeah.
So I did it in 3 different pours with these melamine forms and everything. And it's like, that's not 2 weekends. Like, that's stupid. I did the pours in 2 weekends, but I had to frame the whole thing. I had to cut the sheathing. I had to make the plan. I had to,
So where's the balance? So it sounds like it almost like it's a required ingredient of ambition is to underestimate your time.
It depends on where your ambition is.
Yeah. But it
If
sounds
your
like,
ambition is the quality or if it's the
yeah.
productivity. And I
Yeah.
need to focus on my ambition being the quality versus I got X done. Because if I got X done and it's all trash, then who cares, right?
Yeah. But having like saying you're going to do that outdoor kitchen and I'm going to do it in 2 weekends. I can understand why in hindsight that's frustrating, but it put you in motion, right? Maybe sooner than it might have if you said, well, this is going to take 5 weekends.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of evaluating that in my mind right there. So yeah, there's just balance. It's all about balance. Is kind of what this whole conversation is teaching me.
Yeah, and I think as a positive takeaway from that bathroom fiasco, I was only able to execute it because I went hardcore planning.
Yeah.
I had a plan for everything. I literally had, if floor's not level, then I add these 2 hours. Like I had like an ABC plan. So I had like flow chart. So like if this goes to shit, we do this. So then it wasn't a panic, you know? And then also relying on people to help if I really need it.
Yeah.
Help, which I'm not good at asking for, but nobody is. So yeah.
I wouldn't say nobody, but
Some people, yeah.
We could all get better at it. So the plan. I'm gonna take your advice to heart and actually do more planning and like get it like in some sort of semi-physical medium. Because it's gonna force me to do it. That's awesome.
I'm telling you, Excel is so nice for that kind of stuff. Just having a column of time each thing will take, and then having it just add the time up. And just being like, oh, okay, this will probably be about 2 hours, and then just watching everything shift down below and seeing, oh wow, okay, it's way bigger than I thought. You know?
Yeah, they must have skipped that part in my engineering degree.
Well, I mean, it's just basic.
No, I know.
Time. Yeah.
You got Gantt charts for each project?
I don't have Gantt chart. Gantt charts like.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree.
But I do love Excel. There's a special place in my heart for Excel. But
no doubt.
Now I'm just on fire to plan a project.
Yeah, well, it's time to. You're on to the next one after you deliver this and get the pictures.
Hopefully. I'm supposed to quote a fireplace like retrofit, not retrofit, but like they want it sheathed with like board and batten at this house. And I'm a little concerned with like fireproofing and how I think their expectations are unrealistic on how close I can actually get to the fire opening, even with code and stuff. Like I don't actually know that, so I got to do some research. And
sure, let me know if you need a resource for that. I've got a guy who should know all of that stuff.
Okay. Plus, I don't really want to do that project. I just don't want to be a trim guy, you know, like.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm right there with you.
Paint work. I want to do more hardwood type. So.
I want to add trim and molding to things that I built that I know are square.
Exactly. Like it's a different type of product. Like it's just more of a contractor work and be more of a furniture maker. So it's hard to say no though, because I can see a lot of potential in this house because there are 5 different projects they're talking about with me.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So and they're like, this is our main priority. This one that I don't want to do. And it's like, you know, so then it's a whole thing.
Get a flow chart.
So many flow charts. Just pull out Excel. Come up with something. Yeah. Anything else coming up in the next couple of weeks? Anything major?
I've got one more show, and it'll be in Stillwater. It's the Rivertown Art Festival. And
I think I went to that last year. That's cool.
You went to it, or you were part of it?
No, I think I went to it. Yeah.
Went to it. Okay. Yeah, that one was good to me last year, so I'm hoping for my equivalent. And then the weekend after that, I'm traveling to Florida for my wife's sport. So she plays Australian rules football, and so it's the national tournament. So Minnesota, see how Minnesota does.
That's awesome.
That's a super cool sport. Definitely recommend checking it out, seeing what it is. It's like a mix of rugby and soccer. It's like really fast paced, mostly kicking. Super cool. But yeah, so I get to travel across the United States to go see your games and tournaments. So that's a pretty cool benefit.
Fun. That sounds intense. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So yeah, what about that's it for me. Just that'll be a nice sweet vacation. Hopefully I get the table delivered before that. Fingers crossed. And then the break, like we talked about last episode, and just kind of get my scalability ideas together.
Yeah. For me, it's just getting this one delivered, trying to get proper marketing materials on it, and hopefully win a quote or two on that one house. I mean, we'll see what happens, and then just outdoor kitchen. So
yeah,
always staying busy.
You gonna get it done in time to use it this fall, or is it gonna be?
Yeah, I'm sure I'll use it through the winter.
Okay.
I do a lot of meal prep stuff, so I'll try to keep it clean. Like I'll use the grill and the Blackstone. And I mean, it's simple. It's just a grill, Blackstone, and pizza oven. And they run propane, or it's a pellet grill. So as long as I keep it snow free, I should be able to use it.
Yeah, sweet.
Yep.
Well, very cool. Yep. It's a good conversation. Thanks, man. Appreciate it a lot.
It got deep there for a minute. I enjoyed it. I took a lot away from it. I hope it wasn't just me putting spins on your internal dialogue, but
no, I mean that's what I need. Like at the end of the day, is I need an interruption, and I think you gave me a few good things to try. So it's definitely helpful.
Yeah, but I'm getting the same kind of value out of it too, because I'm realizing how I think and what's valuable and what's a waste in my own internal dialogue. So,
well, nothing's a waste as long as you can learn from it.
Some things are detrimental, right? Like certain thought patterns are not helpful. But
sure.
Yeah, we'll keep moving.
All right, man.
Keep the progress going. I'm excited to see that table.
What's that?
Great. I'm excited to see that table. It's looking great.
Me too. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to see your cabinet pictures. All right, man. Kick tomorrow's butt.
Yeah, you too, man. Nice talking to you.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in this week. We'd be having these conversations with or without you because we get a lot of value out of this and we learn and grow together, but we're glad that you're here as well.
Yes, please let us know what you think of the podcast by leaving a review or a rating, but also comment or share with your friends in the woodworking or small business community. I'm Matt from Whiskey Woodshop.
And I'm Brian of Bossman's Boutique.
Thanks for
listening.